Welcome to the Touch MBA Admissions Podcast. Do you need help figuring out which schools to apply to or how to get into the world's top MBA programs? Hey, you're not alone. Join thousands of others on this podcast and on our site, touchmba.com, as they seek the admissions edge. And now, here's your host, Darren Joe.
Hey guys, it's Darren here, and welcome to the Touch MBA podcast, where we interview admissions directors and deans and students from the world's top MBA programs and help you get an idea of what it's like behind the scenes so that you can prepare the best application possible and you can target the right schools that fit you best. So even though this is called the Touch MBA podcast, I know that there are many other master's programs out there that you might be considering. For example, specialized master's programs such as a master's in finance or perhaps a master's in management, which is really growing in popularity. So what is the difference between a master's in management and an MBA and a specialized master's in finance? I think this is a question many of you have asked me. So I thought we'd dedicate one short episode, 15 minutes, to describing the differences between these programs so that you know which one to apply to. In this episode, I brought on my good friend Dirk Hopfl, who is the director of IE Center Singapore for IE Business School. So IE is one of the top-ranked business schools in Europe, in Spain. And I thought that Dirk would be able to share his perspective because he's responsible for all three types of programs for IE. So we can walk through what makes these master's programs different from an admissions perspective, from a careers perspective, from a reputation perspective, and of course from a curriculum perspective as well. And one key point that we didn't mention in this episode was that the tuition for master's in management and specialized master's programs is generally less than the MBA tuition. So this is another big difference to keep in mind when you are deciding between master's programs. As always, if you want to get a free expert review of your profile or to get some school selection recommendations, go head over to touchmba.com. We'd be glad to help you out there for free. All right, let's get to the episode. Dirk, thank you so much for your time and welcome to the podcast again.
Well, thank you very much, Darren, from Touch MBA. It's a pleasure to have this podcast here with you today in Ho Chi Minh.
That's right.
So hopefully to get your questions.
Excellent. So I think the first big question is, well, what's the difference between an MBA degree and a master's in management? Yeah, who should apply to an MBA and who should apply to a master's in management?
Okay. Typically, they are both general management degrees. So the MBA as well as the master management from the course structure, course content will be aimed at general management knowledge. The big difference is the level of experience of candidates. So typically many MBA schools or business schools requesting for their MBA programs a minimum of 2 to 3 years of work experience. Typically top MBA schools are looking for 3 years minimum experience in their MBA programs. Generally about 5 years is the average of candidates which they have. For the master management, they are open to recent graduates. And most of the schools limited to up to 2 years of work experience to have. So basically, let's say the difference is the work experience you have before starting the program.
Okay, so a fresh university graduate could apply for a master's in management.
Yeah, you should.
But you should,
yeah.
In fact. Okay. And then what about in terms of what you learn, right? Because one is master's in business administration and one is master's in management. Is it a very similar curriculum?
The curriculum is adapted to the professional development of the candidates. So of course in the master in management you will see probably some more basic things. You emphasize more in some aspects which are more basic. Meanwhile in the MBA, just because everybody brings in work experience, you have a different level of interaction in the class. Typically at IE, for example, we are using the same case study methodology. The program structure is slightly different, but both programs give the opportunity to specialize, to have exchange programs, short exchanges, etc.
So it's really the level of experience
Correct.
brought in by the students. And then, of course, the big question is, well, what careers can I expect to get, say, as a fresh graduate who applies to get a master's in management and then comes out? Am I going to be getting the same types of opportunities as I would get if I applied for an MBA and went through an MBA?
You won't get the same opportunities just because you're not at the same level of experience. So companies looking very much into your personal career development. You cannot expect after graduation from master management that you are opting for the same MBA positions as you would as somebody who has 5 years of experience graduating from an MBA program. However, there are a lot of companies looking for fresh, talented, hungry, highly motivated candidates graduating for the master management. Sometimes they are more preferred than recent graduates from university. So they prefer...
Why is that? I mean,
just
I think
because they
important.
get a broader view. The undergrad studies typically are very lecture-based, not so hands-on. Meanwhile, a master in management is very much focused on hands-on learning, exchanges, practical cases, project works with companies. So they get a first exposure on how companies are operating, life experiences they get.
So someone graduating from college, a fresh graduate, would probably be targeting entry-level type positions at top companies or wherever they want to work. Would that be the same for a master's in management graduate?
Potentially, yes, just because if that candidate does not have any work experience, it will be an entry level because it's the first time he's starting. But most likely, just because of his additional academic credentials, he will grow faster within that organization.
Got it. And so in MBAs, we know that, well, especially, for example, in like the US, there's internships between the first and second year. And in many shorter programs, there's also an internship. Is there a similar opportunity for masters in management students to get that 1 or 2 months of experience working for a company that may lead to a job afterwards?
Typically, you have in Europe, most of the master management have been started, let's say, in Europe.
Yep.
There are some master management starting to be in the US as well, but to a much lesser extent. In Europe, you will find master management which are 1 year or 2 years, depending on the education system and the country of where you plan to study that degree. At IE, let's say we have a 1 year master's degree, master management, and there you have the chance, let's say, to do your internship at the end of the program.
Oh, okay.
So after finishing all your academic credentials, you can opt to do an internship. Still be considered being enrolled into the program, which is important for companies in terms of social security, etc.
Right. Okay. And we know that such a huge part of the MBA is launching your next career or making a career transition. Do masters in management students get the same sort of career support in terms of, finding their target jobs?
The career support is the same.
Okay.
So we don't have separate career services.
Yep.
People have their passions for certain industries, for certain functions, independently if they're MBA graduates or master management graduates. So the opportunities are the same. Definitely targeted to different audiences just because of experience, as we explained before. But the access, let's say, to the opportunities, to the companies, to internships are totally the same.
Got it. And then for masters in management programs, when are you too old to apply? Because you said, usually masters in management, are fresh graduates, or maybe they have a year of experience. But like you said, MBAs tend to be 3, 4, 5 years of experience. So what if you kind of fall at the 2-year experience level or 3-year experience level? Where should you apply?
You should consider the MBA or specialized master degree.
Okay.
The master management is capped at a certain age, just because it's also for the companies targeted towards this type of profile.
Got it.
So if we go to visit companies, we tell them, okay, this is a younger audience, and they know that they are kind of young. Yeah. And they don't have kind of people with 5 years work experience suddenly in that particular profile.
Okay, that's great. So that's crystal clear. And then, my last question on master's in management is, from an admissions perspective, what are you really looking for? What are the key things? Because we know from an MBA perspective, that's going to be your academic aptitude, your employability, how great of an ambassador you'll be for the school. But how is that different with the master's in management program?
There's no real difference. We're looking for candidates who can contribute to the class discussion. It will be as interactive as an MBA program. Just people are younger, probably more hungry, trying to conquer the world.
Okay, so similar admissions requirements. Okay,
Yeah.
Great. So let's talk now about what you brought up just a moment ago, which is specialized master's programs. Okay, so that would be in the case of IE, for example, having a master's in finance or having a master's in market research and consumer behavior or business analytics, for example. Why should someone target a specialized master's? Let's just use master's in finance as an example here, as opposed to the master's in management or the MBA.
People have different passions, and they always should follow their passions. Some candidates prefer a specialized master degree over a general management degree, just because they have it very clear out of the internships they have done, about of their personal experience they have had in the past, that, let's say, finance is that what they would like to be in the future. So the masters in finance programs or specialized master degrees in general go very deep into a certain function, much more than a general management program could do.
Right. And so by that you mean, for example, if I took a master's in finance, I'd be taking all finance courses?
You have probably 95 to 97% finance classes. So you can expect that it goes very, very deep into that area. At the same time, specialized master degrees tend to have more associate faculty, which means professionals from the industry teaching, which gives even more insights, networking potential, let's say, into that particular industry.
Got it. How would that affect your graduates, right? Your graduates that have masters in finance degrees versus MBA degrees. How do companies view these two graduates differently?
They see them differently, yes. If we talk about investment banks, they have those MBA, graduate, associate programs, etc., where typically graduates from the master in finance would not be able to apply, but they they are generally welcome, let's say, in more targeted positions, corporate finance, as kind of more experienced hires.
Because I saw that for your graduates of the Masters in Finance program, that 80% of them went into financial services.
That's the idea.
That's
right? Why they want to do it.
So 50% investment banking, 10% private equity, 8% asset management. This is the class of, I believe, 2013. 10% other. Can they expect to make, let's get straight to the point. Can you expect to make a similar salary coming out of Masters in Finance program than an MBA with a specialization in finance?
I think it depends always on your personal performance. So there's no rule set in stone to get a certain salary at a certain stage. All MBA salaries usually are published 3 months after graduation. In the rankings, many times will be considered 3 years after graduation. Right. So over 3 years, your performance, if it's good, you probably will make the same or even more, just because you have more specialized knowledge, so you might be much more in higher demand because you're much more specialized in a certain area than other people if you move career-wise and you move smartly.
Okay, yeah. So that question basically can't be answered.
No, it's always a very individual situation.
Right. So it depends on your skills and your performance, of course, in your job. That makes sense. And then in terms of admissions to a specialized master's program, what range of work experience are you looking for example, for someone who's applying to your master's in finance program?
IE has several master in finance programs. So we have a master in finance program which is aimed at recent graduates, where we have candidates having probably maximum 1 year work experience before they're starting the master's. And these programs are positioned towards the recruiters in the financial industry on analyst levels.
Got it.
And these are typically the positions they are getting into. The Master in Finance and Advanced Finance is a program which is aimed at candidates with more than 2 years of work experience. and they would be profiled to be on associate levels.
Okay, so I think the key point here is you have to research each specialized master's program and really look at the profile of your classmates and of the employers and who they're looking to hire. So that's why IE, for example, has a master's in finance and a master's in advanced.
Yeah, correct.
Every school will be different, right? Every school's master's program, specialized master's program. So you really need to look at each school and each program individually to see where you fit. It's pretty clear to me what the differences are between these programs. I mean, maybe do you get any frequently asked questions that you might want to clarify?
Probably for the specialized master degrees. These are programs typically not purely aimed at recent graduates. We have in some programs candidates with 3, 4, 5 years of experience just because they want to specialize in a particular area. So they don't see the MBA providing that particular knowledge, and therefore they're applying. So there always might be a choice between an MBA or a specialized master degree if you want to focus in further in one particular area.
So would it be fair to say that the MBA would provide you with more latitude in terms of different options
Definitely.
after graduating versus a specialized master's degree?
Definitely.
Okay.
So I think MBA or general management program you can take at every level of your professional experience.
Yeah.
If it's not the full-time MBA, it might be later on an executive MBA or an advanced management program where you get this general management knowledge. I would put it that way.
Got it. Any other points?
Basically, I think in terms of the program delivery, all of those programs are delivered in the same way. So we're using case study methodology. It's highly interactive, very hands-on learning approach. So there's not too much difference if you take an MBA or a specialized master degree. So that's, I think, very important. In terms of requirements for the candidates, it's still the same as well.
Right.
So we're looking into contribution out of their experiences from their professional, non-professional, personal environments. And as they will be living in a foreign country, working with classmates from all around the world, so they have to really be open-minded, able to work in teams, outgoing personalities. And these are topics which doesn't really matter which master degree they're applying. So that's common to all degrees.
But if, for example, your master's in finance degree, I'm sure you're taking a lot of finance courses. So do you require those applicants to have higher, say, quantitative scores on their GMAT? Or, are you looking for that sort of skill?
Of course, we are looking into, especially in the finance programs, if the GMAT is extremely low, especially in the quantitative part. So we were wondering why they want to do masters in finance. As an alternative for the finance program, they always can take the CFA. Level 1 or level 2, level 3. Some of the participants or candidates have it already before they're actually applying. So there are different ways, let's say, to justify your passion for finance. So,
Dirk, thank you so much for your time and for your insights. And I hope to have you on the podcast another time.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darren.
Thanks for listening to the Touch MBA podcast. Don't be shy. We have a mailing list. Go to touchmba.com and get yourself signed up. And we'll keep you posted with the best tips and insider interviews on how to get into your #1 school. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook at Touch MBA. See you soon.